All right, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what virtual assistant services really are used for, who do they actually work for, and how do you know if your business is actually ready to have a virtual assistant before you waste thousands of dollars on the wrong hire. And here's exactly what I want to cover more specifically so that you know exactly what you're getting. Number one, we're going to talk about what cash practice owners are using virtual assistants for moving into 2026, when hiring a VA is a great idea versus when it's a terrible one. Number three, we're going to talk about the biggest mistakes that really cause a VA hire to fail. And number four, I'm going to talk through the exact framework I use to make virtual assistants perform just as well as your in-house staff. And I'll be honest with you, this video is going to save you a lot of time and money and months of trial and error. And so by the end of this, you're going to know whether a virtual assistant makes sense for your business, what you and ultimately what you need to have in place before you ever post a job or you go to find a virtual admin agency. So, number one, we're going to talk about what are virtual assistant services. What the heck is this, right? Like, what are people using virtual assistants for? And most people are under this false belief that they just don't really have enough task for a virtual assistant, so they just keep doing it themselves. And I know this because this was exactly how I felt in my practice, where I kind of had some good months of revenue, some bad months of revenue, and I was kind of on this roller coaster, partly because I was just like, I don't really know what I'm going to give to these people. Like I don't have enough calls coming in. I just don't think that I have enough to offload, despite a trusted mentor of mine telling me very often, hey, you should hire somebody. And I just kept resisting it and getting in my own way. And so what I did was is I did a time audit, and I actually encourage everyone to do this. Is I did a time audit in 15-minute increments of my day, back to back. I just wanted to know and understand exactly where we were at and what I was spending my time doing. And I was pretty shocked to find out, how long 10 leads that I was getting in a given month, how long that was actually taking me to follow up with. Or all of the little random text reschedules or email reschedules I would get, how long that would actually take me. And that was what was really tough for me to understand until took a step back and actually figured out what I was doing on a day-to-day basis. And I'll kind of break down some of the math for you here. It's like if you're getting 10 leads per month, which is conservative for a lot of you guys, if you get 10 leads per month and you're talking to these people for 20 or so minutes on the call, that's about 5 hours a month right there that you could get back by simply just offloading your phone calls. Not to mention the amount of time that you're going to spend entering them into your system and maybe send them some automated text or some automated emails. All of this stuff takes up a lot of time. And what I don't want you doing is wasting your time doing some of these $20 an hour tasks. Because if you can charge $200 plus for an hour, now suddenly for 10 hours, you're getting back thousands and thousands of dollars. You're getting back $2,000 by simply offloading that task. Now, the other thing I want to ask you is how many reschedules do you get in a given week? Even if it's only five, what you're not accounting for is you having to change whatever you're doing. That's mentally expensive. Now you're going to have to switch gears back to your computer to find an open time. Maybe you shoot them a text message and then now there's a couple hour delay because you're treating patients. And so now this exchange takes a very long time. And that's what can be very frustrating and mentally expensive. And that's what really drags a lot of cash practice owners down is because they are stuck doing some of these things that just they're task switching constantly at this point. And so really what we need to be able to figure out is, how many reschedules am I doing? How many phone calls are we doing? How many emails do I have coming in that I need to ultimately be able to respond to at this point? And at its core, I want you to do this time audit because it's going to really help you figure out what is it that I can even use a virtual assistant for, right? And at its core, a virtual assistant is just having somebody who can help you with simple administrative task or operational task, or just support you in your business doing some very basic things, whether that's setting up setting up phone calls and getting these people taken care of. Maybe they're doing text reschedules, and for many cash practices that are starting out, that alone is plenty. Or maybe they're making some CRM updates for you where, maybe you've just got a simple spreadsheet. They're helping you organize that and streamline that and get that information into one place. Or if a lead falls off your schedule and they only saw you for 3 visits, maybe your virtual assistant can actually catch that the first week it happens as opposed to 2 months after the fact. They're going to be able to help you with any simple billing stuff. Maybe you're sending super bills, or maybe you're sending some other very basic stuff out. You got to have somebody to be able to help with those pieces. And the common like misconception is you just don't have enough. But trust me, that time audit, even if you can get back 10 hours a month, that's $2,000 a month right there that you could get back by simply offloading these very basic tasks to somebody. Now, a virtual assistant isn't a magic solution. Like they can absolutely be a multiplier for your business, especially if you have good systems. However, they can absolutely be a disaster if you have a ton of broken systems. And if your business is disorganized and it feels like chaos, like that's when a virtual assistant doesn't work. And that's what you want to ultimately be able to avoid. But let's talk through the situations where a virtual assistant and a virtual assistant services can actually be very helpful for you in your business and when maybe they're not as helpful. So, when are these things actually helpful? When do they actually work and when are they repeatable? When do they actually get the outcome that you're looking for? And some of that is you have to have repeatable task for them, right? It has to be, hey, we're doing some follow up. Hey, we have some lead flow coming in. Hey, we've got constantly new leads coming in and out, and I need my pipelines constantly updated. Or I get these emails all the time. I'm getting 10 leads a month, right? Like those are repeatable tasks that are very simple to knock out. Not, hey, I need somebody to build a one-time project for me in my CRM, like that's not really repeatable, right? Like you don't need to bring somebody on permanently at that point. And ultimately, this comes back to these things work really well when you have the right systems in place. So you've got example calls that you've taken that are recorded. You've got standard operating procedures. You've got scripts and frameworks, and you've got a CRM or a spreadsheet with where all your leads are. Like these are all good indicators of like it's going to be much easier for this person to be able to step in and do these things. The other time I noticed that this actually being successful for the business owner is they're doing too many tasks, and that's where that time audit comes into play. Is you have your hand in too many $20 an hour tasks, and that is ultimately what prevents you from growing. And some common symptoms of that are do the time audit for one, but also like your revenue looks like a roller coaster. You have some 10K months and then you have some 5K months, and some 10K months and some 5K months. And so now you're actually scared to hire somebody when really in all actuality is you are simply the bottleneck in your practice at that point. Now, virtual admins can be very, very helpful. They can absolutely work for you. However, there's times when they don't work. And most of that comes down to you not having the systems and the processes in place. Now, one big thing that we need to figure out is we need to make sure that we have a clear onboarding process. Not, hey, I'm just going to dump as many tasks as humanly possible on their plate. Like that's kind of a problem, right? Where you're like, oh, I finally need help and I'm just drowning, and they just dump a bunch of stuff on you. And then at that point, you just kind of expect them to figure it out. Like that is the worst solution. And I think solo providers are really good at their trade, but they're not really good at teaching and hiring. And so when you dump a bunch of stuff on their plate and you expect them just to figure it out, you have to be able to document these things and actually get these people to where they want to go. And when you can have clear expectations from an onboarding perspective and able to like actually get them the stuff that they need, it makes life way easier. And so instead of you winging it and just throwing things at them, like you have to have clear structure. And so with that, you need to actually have an idea of what it is that you're looking for and what is it that you're looking to hire for. And that's where that time audit can be super helpful as well. Now, what are the biggest mistakes that I actually see that actually kill the success of a virtual assistant? So if you've done all this time, you've hired somebody, maybe you've hired one of us to bring in a virtual assistant, and we've got this great person that we're going to place into your front desk, but ultimately there's some mistakes that you can make that can actually take somebody who's a really A player, and now this person's like a B or C player. And so here's some of the three more common mistakes I see. One is you hire before you define the role. How do you know what to look for? How do you know what to coach for? How do you know what to like actually test for and ask questions about on your interview? If you're going to have the person only do back-end task, well, hey, you better actually make sure that they can use a computer, right? They can actually switch between tabs. Or what about, somebody who is, ultimately only going to be doing phone calls? Well, like you need to check their personality and their tonality and like how do they actually perform when we're taking these calls, right? Like how are they doing? And then from there, once I actually get the person in and I know what I'm looking for and I finally have this dream person, I need to actually have a training rhythm in place, being able to actually like spend time together, not just like hire them and hope for the best. Hey, here's some scripts, here's some things. We have to have a regular training rhythm. And this is something that we do with all of our virtual admins is like we have group coaching calls all throughout the week so that they can submit calls and they get feedback and they ask questions and like they have to have a regular rhythm of training. Otherwise, they're going to show up and like just completely whiff on a bunch of phone calls or a bunch of other things. And that's what we don't want to have happen. And they need reps. Like they just have to have repetition of this thing, of these things. And when they're not having repetitions and they're not getting regular training and they're not getting a ton of calls because you're a small practice, they're gonna have a hard time performing. Now, the other big piece of this is there's no actual like performance tracking that's going on, right? Like we don't measure or track their success. Like I don't know how many calls they're making. I don't know, what does success of this role even look like, right? Like are they scheduling leads? Are these people showing up? Are they buying plans of care? Do we have a lot of cancels or no shows, right? Like what are, how long are their actual calls? What objections are they getting? If I got 10 leads this particular week, how many actually scheduled and how many showed up? Like those are clear things. And like having them take ownership of that is what ultimately will keep them being successful in these roles. Now, what's the framework that like actually makes this work now, right? Like, what are the things that you need to do from kind of A to Z here to make sure that this virtual assistant that you bring on actually works? And the first step is, hey, you have to define the role, right? You have to define what it is you need help with. From there, you're going to basically have scripts and standard operating procedures of all the things that you want to offload. From there, what you're going to do is you're going to select a candidate and do an interview process. Now, if you hire us or another virtual assistant company, like they will basically just give you piles of candidates to be able to work through. From there, what you ultimately need to do is you have to be able to do weekly performance check-ins with these people, right? Where, hey, they're submitting numbers and we're just having check-ins and we're doing continual training with this person. And then from there, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are holding them accountable to that stuff. And when we follow through that very crystal clear framework where we're giving them feedback and we make sure that they know we hired for the right position, they know exactly what it is they should be doing. I'm giving them feedback, we have data to back it up, and then I'm constantly and continually training. These are the things that make it work very, very well. And virtual assistants can be incredible for businesses, but they can also absolutely tank your performance if you don't have the right person on the bus. So now that you understand like what the heck you can even offload to a virtual assistant, how it actually works, the next question is like hey, are your current systems and is your current practice actually ready for a virtual assistant? And that's exactly what we do here at Virtual Refresh, where we've got a team of fully trained virtual assistants. We're going to help you get your systems and processes in play. You can basically download and our scripts and our processes and implement them perfectly into your practice. And then ultimately, we vet through 850 plus candidates every single month. And out of that, we usually only hire 1 to 2 people. And if you would like us to place one of our virtual assistants that are fully trained in how your practice works and how to actually be able to provide value on these calls, then I want you to click the link in the description. You can book a call with me if that sounds even at all interesting. We can break down your practice and see if this even makes sense. We'll see you there.